Hi guys, I'm Tara and I'm with House of Tortured Souls. I just got out of Glass, so I wanted to give you guys a quick little first impressions video of how I felt about that film. First off, so I am a huge fan of Split. I loved Split. I really liked Unbreakable. Those are probably the the best M. Night Shyamalan movies. I am not a huge fan of M. Night. My friends will tell you like how much I do not particularly care for most of his films. But I loved Unbreakable and I loved Split. It's certainly for James McAvoy, if nothing else. So I was really pumped to see this movie. I've been thinking about it for a long time, since they announced it. Really since I saw Split and it had the ending with Bruce Willis and as David Dunn. So I was very excited for it. So I guess I kind of went into this a little bit more hyped than probably a lot of people. Of course, I did hear the rumors of, it's a typical M. Night movie and, all the kind of negative things about it. First impression wise, if you liked Split, I feel like you're gonna like this film. I'm trying not to give away too many spoilers because I know obviously not everybody has seen it yet. So we're gonna try and keep this a little spoiler free. Sorry for bouncing off there. But yeah, I really did enjoy it. The best part of the film was really James McAvoy. If you're a fan of his from X-Men or anything that he's done, I think you will really like this film. Samuel L. Jackson was superb, certainly as Mr. Glass, great character, really liked that. Sarah Paulson was great. That was really cool to see her in kind of a different style role. Obviously I've seen a lot of American Horror Story and obviously Bird Box, which just came out. So it was good to see her in just a different style role, which was really nice. So the cast of this was really good. And I think that that's really what drove the film for me. It was nice to be able to see these characters again. It was nice to be able to see kind of the finalization of, the trilogy, which was really neat. Obviously, it was great to see Bruce Willis again because it has been a minute since he's been in anything that I particularly cared for, and I certainly liked the David Dunn character. There was certainly problems with the film, and the problems pretty much came in the second half of the film. So if you're gonna go see this, which I do recommend if you do really like the Unbreakable universe, certainly know going into it that maybe not have such high expectations, which was certainly a problem for me because I wanted it to be as good as Split was. And as a side note, I said when I first watched Split that if that would have came out later in the year, I could really have seen James McAvoy getting an Oscar nom or some kind of an award for it because of just the way that he portrayed all of these characters, which he certainly did in this one. There's a character called Jade that is just great, and that's one great thing about a lot of M. Night's films that I will give him credit for. I know everybody can stay shocked because they knew I don't typically like him, but I will give him credit that he is good with most of his films of giving a little bit of a diversity between comedy and thrilling aspect and action and something that also has a comedic role to it, whether it be in Split with Hedwig, or Patricia just being a little bit off and weird, or Samuel L. Jackson just being Samuel L. Jackson. So that was kind of neat. Overall, I think the film was very enjoyable. I enjoyed it. I don't particularly like the ending. I think it could have been wrapped up better, but the more that I kind of think of M. Night's movies, I think he does struggle with that. He does struggle with an ending, and he does seem to struggle with how to put everything together. so to speak. So I see his problems, and I think that with a little bit more direction or a little bit more better written screenplay or storyline in general, the ending could have been a little bit better. I would not say that it's a typical M. Night Shyamalan twist, which everybody obviously was expecting. We were all expecting, this crazy twist. And I just don't think that this film really had that. And Split, I don't really think did either, with the exception of like the tag of, hey, by the way, this is part of the Unbreakable series. So that was like your M. Night Shyamalan thing. And I guess Unbreakable didn't really have that huge twist either, other than, announcing Mr. Glass. So I think if you liked Unbreakable, you liked Split, I think you will like this film. I certainly encourage everybody to go see it. Even me being not a huge fan of M. Night, I still gave him money. I still think that it was worth the money that I gave him. And I think out of every film of his, the Unbreakable series is still some of the best films that he's done. I've said this before. He has some really terrible films out there. We all know it. Last Airbender was garbage. The Visit is probably one of the worst films I have ever watched. If you want me to do a review about how bad that film was to me, I would be happy to, because I absolutely hate that film in every aspect. I could barely get through the first 10 minutes without just literally turning it off, because it was that bad for me. I don't think that Sixth Sense has much of a rewatch value, which I think is a problem with a lot of his films. The Village, I actually almost walked out of when I first saw it in theaters. So me personally, I am not a huge M. Night fan, but it was so good to see him kind of continue this series. And it did bother me just a little bit when I was reading kind of the initial critic reviews about how, they were giving it 4s and 5s and really low scores. And I'm like, but it still has, these characters. So I kind of walked into there expecting even worse, I guess, than what people kind of portrayed it as. I expected a 4 or 5 film. I would never give it that low. Just James McAvoy's, character and all of his scenes in general is certainly worth more than a 5. Then you get to add in Samuel L. Jackson, as Elijah, Mr. Glass, and you get to add in Bruce Willis. You have these pretty good, fight scenes. You have scenes with Anna Taylor-Joy, who obviously everybody knows that I love The Witch, which is one of my favorite horror films of certainly the last 10 years. So I'm a huge fan of hers. And it was really, really nice to see all of these kind of characters come together. And I think that I really think that the critics got it wrong, and I'm usually pretty pro-critic. We usually see eye to eye. I don't always see, user scores the same, because I think people have a very different perspective on horror films or thrillers or whatever you want to call this, than I do. But I think that the critics actually got this one way wrong. And it's kind of depressing to me, because I think unfortunately, I think that this is going to really be overlooked because of maybe the way that the ending was. So I guess in closing with this, and I hate to say it, because like I said, I usually agree with critics, but maybe with this kind of stuff, you got to take a step back and think, hey, I'm just a fan. I'm a fan of this series, so I have to go and be a completist and finish it. And I've done that with plenty of films. But I think if you're a fan of it, you're really going to be a fan of this film. And certainly give James McAvoy credit. And I know, I guess I'm a super fan of his, but I'm really not. I loved his character. I gotta hand it to M. Night for that, because wow, that however he came up with this was really, really cool. And it was really, really cool to see James kind of dive into a role that he kind of had to mold, and he had to make it his own. And it's crazy to see him, in Split and in this, to go from all of these different characters within like seconds. And some of it obviously was, in different takes and whatever, but some of it was not. And that's, I think, the best parts of these films, at least with James in them, is because it's like immediate change. So he has to change everything. To go from being Dennis to Patricia to the Beast, he has to immediately, switch that. And it was so neat to see. The one cool thing about this film, you do get to see more of his personalities. There's one in particular which I absolutely loved. And her name was Jade. That was really neat. And you got to know a little bit more about Kevin Wendell Crumb, a little bit more about his background, which was neat. There was some more background with David, Bruce Willis's character, David Dunn, which I guess is an aside I should mention. They call him the Overseer. Not particularly fond of that. I think we could have came up with anything else. So I think that was maybe a little bit weak as like, a superhero, the Overseer. I don't know. I think that was a little weak on their end. I mean, you have Mr. Glass and you've got the Beast and then you've got the Overseer. So I don't know. That was a little weak. But back to the previous point, and I'm sorry I'm jumping around. I think that being able to kind of see more of their origins, and the different things that, you pull from Unbreakable and you pull from Split, and kind of piece together this film was really neat. So I liked it. I mean, if I'm given a out of 10 and 10's high and, one's garbage, I'm definitely going with a solid 7. I'm gonna go with a 7. Split, I think originally when I saw it, I gave it like an 8, and then upon second watching, I think I bumped that up to like an 8.5. And yeah, I think I'm gonna have to say this one's a 7. I didn't love the ending. Like I said, I thought it felt rushed. The ending of Split wasn't wonderful. There was some, again, it was a little rushed. Unbreakable kind of had that too. So I'm trying not to count the film off just because, M. Night's not great at writing endings. And I don't think that diminishes what, James and Samuel L. Jackson and, Bruce and all these great characters. I don't think that it should diminish what they did during the film, just because he kind of wrote just a meh ending. So yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with a 7. Unbreakable, the more I watch Unbreakable, I just watched it again a couple days ago, and because I hadn't watched it in, I don't know, a couple years, and I just watched it again, and I was like, man, this has got to be his best film, start to finish. I mean, there's typical M. Night things that he does that I don't love. He does try as hard as he can to be Hitchcock, and he is just not ever gonna do it. Sorry to say, M. Night. I love this series, but dude, you are not gonna be Hitchcock. It's just not gonna happen. But he does throw himself in all of his movies, at least recently, that I can remember. This one, he was a little bit more pronounced in, and the whole scene was a little bit awkward, and I was like, yeah, we know, you're throwing yourself in there, yeah, whatever. So look out for that. I mean, it's cute if you like M. Night, and you're like, oh, yeah, he's right there, oh, that's funny, okay. So, like, yeah, I get it. And then he has, like, these weird camera angles. Again, I feel like he's trying just a little bit too hard when he probably doesn't need to. So I think just kind of keep that in mind, that, he's how do I phrase this without sounding terrible? Like I'm like this, movie snob, like I could do better. I don't think I could. I don't think that, I'm the best, I would ever be the best director in the world. But I think that he's never really grown. And I think Unbreakable was kind of his high point, and Split was a high point, and this one was fine. It's better than a lot of his other films, but I don't think that he went anywhere special with this. I don't think that some of like the scenes that he shot were better. He does a lot of weird camera angles that I don't particularly care for. The beginning of Unbreakable, he's kind of filming through the two bus seats, and he's got a couple similar scenes in this one. Split didn't have quite as many of those, just because it felt like it was more confined anyway, so like he couldn't really do that. But this one definitely had that, and it was a little bit distracting, honestly, when it happened, because you're just like, dude, I just want to watch the film. Like, I don't need to see it through shit like this. Like, I just want to see the film. Just, it's cool. I get what you're trying to do. You don't need to do that. Like, we don't need to do that. So that was maybe like, a little bit worrisome on that end. But yeah, overall, I did like the film. I certainly gave it a 7. I'm shocked by all the negative reviews. And it's certainly possible that people just didn't get it. And I hate saying that, but I do feel like people just didn't get it, or they overthought it, or they thought it was supposed to be more than it was. There's certainly, flaws in it, but it was a good movie to me. I enjoyed it. Certainly go see it. Let me know if you guys have any other questions or if you'd want to discuss it. Like I said, this is kind of a spoiler-free review because I don't want to ruin it for everybody, but I certainly want certainly want people to, watch this video, and when you do see it, shoot me a comment and say, hey, Tara, I totally agree with you on this, or what did you think about this? I'd be happy to discuss it. I think that there's kind of different things that you can draw from this film. So if you guys want to, talk about it, I'm more than willing to. I'm on Facebook. I'm on the House of Tortured Souls site. So yeah, hope you guys go see the film and let me know kind of what you guys thought. Maybe you guys thought the complete opposite. Maybe you thought it was like a huge turd sandwich, and that's fine. But I'd like to hear everybody else's opinion. And maybe you thought it was like award-winning, and we can talk about that too. So make sure that you guys like, subscribe, etc. Read our articles, House of Tortured Souls, and I guess we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.